No, not until after the war, and then all the movies were made and everything, and then we found out how bad it was. But when I was growing up, no one talked about the war to me. They let children be children. Today, kids are into
Yeah, I
everything.
don't think
They know everything.
they didn't talk much about it in our house
Yeah.
either. Maybe they just didn't know, weren't interested in it.
Or they probably didn't want to bother you.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of my friends knew how the atrocities that were going on or anything. And I do remember the celebration of it, but I don't know the horror. I didn't know the horror of it and all that had happened. In the last year of his Navy, we were married, and I lived at home with my mother while he was overseas. And then when in just before Christmas, he was free from his 4-year commitment in the Navy. And he came also to live at my mother and father's house. So we lived there for half a year and worked at a Ford defense plant in Chicago. Both of us worked at the same defense plant in Chicago. By then, the war had died down, and the defense plant became a car plant. So they weren't making the war stuff anymore. And one summer hot day in Chicago, Bob just couldn't stand the heat any longer, so we moved to California. He said, "We're going to California." So we packed what little stuff we had and towed a little trailer behind us and went to California. And I cried all the first day going. And I told my mother I didn't want to leave. And she said, "You married him, you belong with him, you go with him." So we took off and went to California and made a new life out there with lifelong friends that we still have Christmas cards to. So this was all after the Korean War. And then Vietnam came, but that didn't affect us.
Kids weren't old enough.
Yeah, the children weren't old enough.
And the parents are too old.
But the poor veterans who came home from Vietnam were not celebrated like those that came home from Korea or World War II.
Korea was not celebrated either.
Well, not yeah, but
Not like World War.
but
Well, World War II should have been celebrated.
They
It was a
weren't
big war.
spit upon or anything else like the poor guys who came from
Korea was
Vietnam.
more a police action.
They treated the Vietnam guys badly. So those poor guys didn't get a victory parade or anything. They were looked down upon, really, which is terrible. That was the Vietnam. And then after Vietnam came all those Desert Storm wars. There were too many. Then we were all over the world trying to fight or help everybody else fight. But when something happened in America, like floods or wildfires or disasters and hurricanes that wiped out a lot of things, nobody came to help us. But everyone expected America to go and help them. And that's still how it is today. We're still over there in Afghanistan after 2012 or 12 years. We used to love to stand around or sit around and listen to the radio. The whole family would listen to all those good programs on the radio. And then this television screen came into the house. And I remember my dad watching all those cowboy movies, and he thought it was great. Because of that rap stuff, we used to just have bands. The big band era was when I was growing up, and you danced to big band music. And now the big bands are gone, and they have the guitar people and folk things and rap, all this rap. And we would buy records that were classical music and buy records that were big band music. And all the big bands usually had a singer, so there was always singing on their songs too. Whereas nowadays, they do that rapping off. can tell I don't like rappers. But that became popular quite a while ago. They weren't as bad as they are now. They were decent rappers in the first place, but now they're getting way out. So-called celebrities today. Nobody is a celebrity anymore. They've got more of these.
Hey, we sold our car to James Cagney's cousin.
Yeah.
You don't know who James Cagney is, do you?
He was a big famous movie star in our day. Yeah. I don't believe the celebrities are celebrities today, because anyone on television that has a talk show or does something funny or is kind of wild is a celebrity, like some kind of family that starts with a K-A-S-H. They're always on television, and they think all these people, the Kardashians or something like that. Anybody can be a celebrity nowadays, but
All you got to do is say a few swear words.
yeah. According to us, there are no celebrities anymore. Very few. The movies used to be good movies, and now they're just full of sex and language that we don't speak anymore, and they kind of make fun of Christians, and they are the rest of the world are persecuting Christians. According to most people my age, which is hitting 80, there is nothing worthwhile on television, or very few programs worthwhile, because they're all very loose and language is awful. But the young people have grown up with that, so they accept it. So I volunteered at Cardinal Hill Hospital, which was for handicapped people, and I enjoyed that volunteer work. I volunteered at a gift shop for a friend of mine from church who owned it, so I went there and volunteered, and then I learned Braille to help blind people and made Braille books for schools and also for ministers. They had to give me their sermons.